Hi, I'm Samantha Reynolds, and the two different media outlets I watched this week, one was a local news channel here in Alachua County, and the other one was a program on Fox News, Special Report with Brett Baier. So, just to start, kind of an overview of both programs. The local news channel I felt was fairly neutral. It was a lot of just getting to the facts, really no opinions. They covered local events, the University of Florida, obviously, the weather, and then there was a few special stories that covered some issues in the area, like hit and run accidents, and then there was some special interest, like human interest stories, about a baby and a NICU nurse. And so I would say overall, this local news program felt very neutral, felt very to the point, like there wasn't a lot for them to do that would be not deceiving, but kind of deceiving. They weren't really giving their side of the story, they were just giving the story. Then that really contrasts with the program on Fox News, which I just picked Fox News. I could have picked any mainstream media, and it probably would have been the same result. A lot of political talk, pretty much only political talk. It felt very one-sided, as pretty much all mainstream media does these days, and it felt like they were definitely trying to get me to view their stories in a certain way. I definitely felt like there was more to the story, regardless of if I agreed with what they were saying. It felt like I wasn't getting the whole story, so I definitely think there was some framing there. They framed a lot of conflict, a lot of Republicans versus Democrats. That's really, a lot of what our news is these days, is just framing in a way where you see this person is against this person, and depending on what channel you're watching, they try to tell you who is right. And even if, like we said in class, maybe they can't tell me what to think, but they definitely get me thinking about it. So I definitely think that these two news outlets were on opposite ends of the spectrum as far as trying to get me to think a certain way. I definitely local news would be my go-to in the event that, to be honest, I don't watch the news that often for this very reason. I don't like being told what I should be thinking, and a lot of it is just a lot of, arguing and my side versus your side, and I just don't enjoy it. So I definitely think that the local news channel focused a lot on episodic coverage. They, when they were talking about the hit and runs, they talked about this one instance that happened last year. They brought in the family that was affected. They were able to bring light to the situation in a very clear way by focusing on one incident. And some of the mainstream national news, like on Fox News, feels a little more thematic. It feels like we have to have some historical background. We kind of need to know how things have gone before to know how to think about what's happening now. And I think that's definitely a main contrast between the two. There were some certain instances on the Fox News channel that had episodic coverages of things, this specific thing happened, Bernie Sanders said this specific thing, Donald Trump said this specific thing, but a lot of it is still in the same overarching, we need to know what's been happening in the political landscape for the last year or 2 years, 10 years. And so I definitely feel like they were going a little bit more out of their way to try and get me thinking about things from their side. So overall, I definitely think it's important to consider how news is being framed when you're looking at it. And honestly, I don't know if I'd really thought about it before. So, thanks.